Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me. It's Allan Laboucan from the Rocks and Stocks News website. I'm recording this show on July the 10th. It's a Sunday. This last week, we saw gold get beaten down pretty good, and it made me wonder, why? I kind of look at the indicators out there, such as I was thinking to myself, did all of a sudden international debt, the debt of countries get under control? Did inflation get under control? Did they stop printing money like it was going out of style? None of these things changed. The thing that did change was the price of gold. So, the fundamentals are still the same as they were a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago when gold was going up over $2,000 an ounce. Now it's down to 17 and change, and nothing has really changed. Inflation is still going through the roof. It's a worldwide phenomenon. We're still having lots of problems with supply chains throughout the world, moving stuff. Getting stuff out of the ground and off the ground. And you still got national debt and individual debt through the roof worldwide. And all the countries of the world are in a rush to print as much of their currency as they can to devalue it. And yet gold is got beat down. I look at it more like, I think what we're seeing here is the washout before the market gets stronger. Nothing has changed about the bullish arguments for gold, for silver, for other commodities. What has changed is the price. And those fluctuations in price happen all the time in markets. And it's those that can buy when the fear is out there and sell when the optimism is out there is a good way to make money in the markets. And I don't really pay attention to a lot of these big financial institutions, analysts, when they're talking about commodities or the markets or individual stocks for that matter. I think that they get too optimistic when things are going up, too pessimistic when things are going down. For example, SocGen just put out a report that commodity prices are collapsing, and that means inflation is going away. And I love that because I think they get, like I said, they get too bearish on the downs and too bullish on the ups. Where I do pay attention to them is contrary indicators when things have swung too much to the up or too much to the down. When things go like this or like this, they don't last very long. Gold's done that recently. Silver's done that recently. Copper's done that recently. Oil's getting punished. Several of the grains are getting punished. Trust me, people haven't stopped eating, and they're still having a hard time, dealing with the increased prices for everything. So, yeah, I think this is a little bit overdone on the downside, and I look at that as a good buying opportunity because there's a lot of opportunities out there with stocks in the mining sector that are trading at huge discounts relative to what they have. I call it the potential to valuation ratio, and the potential is not being priced into the valuations right now. They've been hammered down, and I think that that's a good time for investors to be buying. So I put together a list of companies that I'm going to talk about today. And I just wanted to say one other thing. I'm pretty fortunate that I get to talk to a lot of company executives in the mining sector. And I've done hundreds of interviews with some of the top people in the business. And they're good at finding stuff in the ground and bringing it out of the ground. They're not so good at timing the market. And when I see a lot of executives that are starting to pull in their horns, They don't want to spend as much money on exploration, and that they don't want to get their story out there as aggressively as in the bearish times. And I really think that that's the strategic mistake, not just because I sell sponsorship and I make money by having people tell their story on my shows, but during these times when people are very concerned is a time when there isn't as much content coming out, and there's an audience out there that's not being served, and they're out there looking for direction and opportunities. And that's a time when you can capture a market, because even the market commentators, they pull back their horns as well. They don't want to get out there. They don't have the fortitude that they talk about of being bullish when things are challenging. I'm the opposite. I try to do the opposite of what those in the business do. When they're pulling in their horns, when they're not telling their stories as much, I get out there and I pound the table because I think that that's the time when I can do the best service for my audience. Unfortunately, a lot of times that's when the audience doesn't listen. It's a funny thing buying stocks. The market, people who participate in the market, they'll run around and they'll try to find a deal on everything they buy. But when their stocks go on sale, it's like they don't want that bargain. They get their confidence when the stocks are going up, and they lack confidence when they're going down. And that's why I do my shows. I believe that the more informed people are about the stocks that they're looking at, the less likely they are to make those kind of mistakes. You know, getting too bullish when things are frothy, or getting too bearish when things are being punished. And we're at one of those punishment stages right now. But there are a lot of indicators that it's getting overdone. Look at gold. It's gone like this. When things go like this or things go like this, that doesn't last very long. So I think this is the washout prior to things getting more bullish. On that note, let me start working through the list of companies that I wanted to talk about today, because I think they offer some tremendous opportunities. I'm just going to go through them alphabetically. And the first one I'm going to talk about is a company where I'm the CEO, Advanced Lithium. It trades on the venture market, currently trading at 2 cents with a $1.5 million valuation. The stock's been punished because of the changes to the mining laws in Mexico regarding lithium. I think that that's the concern out there isn't reflecting the reality of what happens here in the country. I live in Mexico, so I get to see and talk to a lot of people in the country. And yes, they want to have a nationalized lithium company, and yes, they want to govern it so that the lithium doesn't just leave the country. And I agree with that. I have no problem. I've worked in regulatory environments my entire career. I know that you have to be regulated. What I intend to do with the company is, as soon as that national lithium company is made in public, in the next, should be any time now in the next couple of weeks, we're going to try and get to have meetings with them. And the goal of those meetings are to explain that we are contractually bound to keep the lithium in Mexico, for one. Secondly, that these are deposits that start right at surface. They can go into production very rapidly. Third, and I think this might be the most crucial point, is that the country wants lithium. They need potassium. Right now, Mexico is a big farming country, and right now they have to import all of their potassium. Importing anything has gone up dramatically, including fertilizers such as potassium. And when you have to get it all done internationally and bring it into the country, it costs extra money. This affects the farmers. This affects what they produce. And so we could have in a very short period of time, near-term production of both potassium and lithium. And that's what I mean to talk to the Mexican lithium company, a national lithium company, about. In the meantime, while all this is playing out, I was able to sell a royalty that we had for a project in Kenya. And part of the deal was we got cash for selling the royalty to a royalty company. And the royalty company follows, it's a company called Origin. OGN is their symbol. I know the guy who runs the company very well. We used to work together for a big geological consulting firm. And we also got a project called Serape. Serape is a very exciting project. It's in close proximity to Silvercrest's Las Chispas mine. That's going to turn them into a money-making machine. It's a epithermal, high-grade, low sulfidation, high-grade gold and silver veins. In addition to that, we've also got not far from Las Chispas is First Majestic's Ermitaño mine, which Ermitaño is their best performing mine at the current time. Origin is the one who optioned that project to First Majestic and retains a 2% royalty on it. These guys went into the Rio Sonora Valley many, many years ago for its geological potential, and they got the Ermitaño project and Serape. Serape is also an epithermal vein system. There's one big vein of over 5,000 meters on it, and another 2,000 meter vein. There's widespread gold and silver mineralization at the surface where these veins come to surface. And then they've only seen minimal drilling. And in these epithermal vein systems, you have to do systematic drilling to understand the zonation of grade along strike and at depth. So while we're waiting to iron things out with our lithium, we're going to be drilling on our epithermal veins in the Rio Sonora Valley. I'm very excited about it. There's two big mines nearby. They're both epithermal vein systems. We've got 50 some square kilometer property that has two big veins on it. No exploration outside of those veins. These things often come in clusters. So I'm very excited to get onto that. And I think a $1.5 million valuation is drastically oversold relative to what we have in our portfolio. The next company I'm going to talk about is Amex Exploration. Amex is a company that I've followed since they were 50 cents a share. They've been over $3. Right now, they're on a half price sale, trading at around $1.58. They're trading at their year low. When I'm talking about the trends that I'm seeing in these stocks, this is what you're seeing. A lot of these stocks have been beaten down dramatically. They're trading at yearly lows, and yet nothing has changed with the fundamentals. In fact, the fundamentals are getting better. This company has like 20 or 30,000 meters of drilling that they're doing. On their property, they have the Denise Zone, which is a high-grade open pit target. Most of the time, when you talk about open pits, you're talking about very low grades for gold around a half a gram. They've got a big resource there that looks like it's going to be well over a gram. So it's a very attractive asset just for that project, that near surface project. But what really got the market excited a few years ago when I first started following the company was they hit a deeper zone. They call it their high grade zone that's in close proximity to the Denise zone. And they've followed that thing down for 800 or 900 meters so far. And recently I was listening to an interview of Kelly Malcolm, who is the VP of Exploration. I've done several interviews with Kelly, and real sharp guy, real smart guy. And he mentioned that they're plugging one hole real deep. A number of shows ago, I said, I hope you guys do that, because these orogenic systems are known to go down for several thousand meters. And in the case of Red Lake, for example, they had to get down 1,000 meters before they hit the sweet spot. When they hit the sweet spot, it made Gold Corp the lowest cost producer of gold, even though they were mining below 1,000 meters below surface. And that's why you want to drill some deep holes. They have great continuity of their zone from surface all the way down to 1,000 meters. I think he mentioned that they're doing about a 1,400 meter hole right now. I'm really excited about that because things could get really juicy. What they've found in there, not only do they have great high-grade continuity in their high-grade zone, but when you get deeper, you get these higher grades. Higher grades tend to get the market excited, and I think they're going to be able to deliver that. They also have a VMS discovery on their property. VMS it's in a camp where there's known to have VMS mines, good high-grade copper. And what is exciting about VMS deposits is that they often occur in clusters. So far in this immediate area, there's only a couple of them. Pretty good chance that there's more out there, and they're looking for those as well. Amex's current valuation is 161 million. I think this company has the potential of going over $1 billion valuation. So that would be several multiples of where they currently trade at. Just based on what I can see so far, I think that when it's all said and done, this company is going to get taken over for over $1 billion. And anytime you can buy it under 200 million, you're probably doing yourself a good service there to buy it at those prices. The next company I want to talk about is Bell Copper. Bell Copper is a company I started following about 6 months ago. They were 6 or 8 months ago. They were trading at little over a dime when I started following reporting on them. They got up to 70 cents because they look like they're finding a big deposit or the potential of a big copper deposit in a place where there's a lot of big copper deposits. And they're going, the deposits are under a lot of cover, so they got to go deep to find these targets, or deep to hit the targets. And I was hearing some rumblings from people in the industry that that suggested to me that the recent results were not going to be that great. And that's what happened. The stock got pummeled. It's now trading not very far above where I originally started following it. But I also had a chance to listen to some smart commentary by guys that I have a high opinion of. And they made the case that what they're looking at so far is kind of the periphery of the system, the extent of the system, the extension of the system, and that they haven't really tagged into the guts of the system or what caused that system to exist. And so I believe that now is another time to take a swing at Bell Copper. They're drilling some deep holes, and I think that they have the potential to find. They've got some lookalikes. As I said, they have some big deposits in the area that they're massive mines where they are, and now they're looking for another massive one. And the guy that runs the company, he's a smart guy. He knows this area very well. He knows the kind of deposits that they're looking for. And I think that if they are at the extent, and he can keep going and find that guts of the system where the conduit where all of this peripheral mineralization came from, then they could be sitting on a massive discovery, and a $30 million market valuation will prove to be a huge bargain. There's risk in exploration. That's the exploration business is a risky one. Managing your risk is what's important. Taking a position after a company has been sold off, even though the fundamentals of the exploration work that they're doing hasn't really changed, that's a good time to look at a company like that. So Bell Copper, BCU is their symbol, trading at around 25 cents right now, $30 million market valuation. I think it's a good one to own at these prices. The next company I'm going to talk about today is Paycore Minerals. Paycore Minerals is a company that only started trading maybe about 2.5 months ago. And I became aware of it because I-80 Gold made a huge discovery of extreme high grade over thick intersections at their Ruby Deeps discovery, which is right beside Paycore Minerals project, where Paycore has found an oxide zone near surface, something that could be brought into production quickly, be a moneymaker, and allow them to focus on finding and defining and proving up the value of their deep deposit. And that deep deposit has had several high-grade hits in it as well. So here's a company that came out trading in April at around a little over $2, probably stayed above that average $2 price on average till about mid-May. And now it's trading at $1. Nothing's changed. This project is still in Nevada on the prolific Battle Mountain Eureka trend. It's right beside I-80 Gold's project that they've made this discovery of Ruby Deeps. There's huge mines all over the place. There's been historical production here and around their project. And so the fundamentals are still very strong, but here they sit at a $28 million valuation while they're drilling in Nevada, looking for high grade. I just think this one is a ridiculously cheap price. It wouldn't surprise me that if somewhere down the road, Paycore is bought out. I like a lot of what I'm seeing from this company, because it's only been trading for a few short months. It doesn't have a big following, but I think that they have the project that can make them have a big following. And so, $28 million valuation, good place to look at that. The next company I wanted to talk about today is Candente. DNT is their stock symbol. They have a top 10 asset in the undeveloped copper projects in the world. It's top 10 not only in grade, but in size. These are the kind of things that major mining companies want to own. They have a major mining company as a big shareholder, and at their last annual general meeting, a lot of times these junior mining companies, when they have their annual general meetings, they have a very low shareholder turnout and shareholder voting. So a big block of stock can have a big effect at that period in time. And Fortescue, the big shareholder of Candente, has made some moves that I don't think are well thought out. The reason I say that is, well thought out in the sense that is this the best decision for the company and the rest of the shareholders? My concerns are that continuity of management. Joey Fries and her team have been champions of this project for a couple decades. They know all the people that are local there. They've talked to them all. They've shaken their hands. This kind of outreach is what's important to get mines built. And to have a big management shakeup at this point in time, I don't think is in the best interest of all the shareholders. And so I think cooler heads are going to prevail. But, you know, and in the meantime, the stock went from, you know, around 20 cents. It's currently trading at 13 cents. And a lot of that has to do with this drama caused by the recent shareholder meeting. At the end of the day, the company's trading at a $35 million valuation, and they have one of the top 10 undeveloped copper projects in the world when you look at grade and you look at size. And therefore, I think that that's worth a lot more than its current valuation. And I think that this creates an opportunity, this recent drama creates an opportunity for investors to get a hell of a bargain. And I think ultimately this company is going to get taken over, and the project will be developed by a much bigger company. Therefore, I think that, you know, when you can take a shot at a company trading at its 52-week lows, meanwhile, copper looks like it's in a very bullish trend, that's a hell of a good time to look at buying a stock like that. Next company I want to talk about is Endurance Gold. Well, a lot of junior mining companies are getting beaten up. Endurance Gold has been performing exceptionally well. The reason for that is they have an orogenic gold discovery in British Columbia, 4 hours from Vancouver, road access, and every time they put a hole in the ground or dig up the dirt or cut roads, they find more and more and more gold, and it's high grade. What really impresses me about it so far is all that high grade is in the fine gold, which is suggestive that they're at the end, at the periphery of an orogenic gold system. So what my hope has been is that they start to chase the depth potential. And that's, I talked about orogenic gold systems before. They go very deep. And when you find the roots of that system, that's where you find these big, high-grade mines that make huge amounts of money for the company mining those kind of deposits. And they've sort of drilled a series of holes, let's say within 50 meters of the surface, and they've outlined a pretty impressive zone already. But now they think that they are getting a handle on where that zone, that surface zone, goes deeper. And that's tremendously exciting, because the deeper you go, that's where you get into the coarser gold in these orogenic gold systems. And that's where you can have massively high grade gold and find mines like they did in Fosterville in Australia, when they had mined that thing close to surface for 20 years. When they got deep into the system, that's when they hit it out of the ballpark. They found their swan zone. It was a company maker for Kirkland Lake, and ultimately made them one of the best performing mining companies in the sector, and ultimately get bought out. And, you know, Endurance has one of those kind of, let's say, Fosterville Swan Zone lookalikes in the early days. And right now they only have a $69 million market valuation. I like their prospects of delivering a lot of high grade gold. They're right in the heart of they're right in the guts of their current drilling program. And I like their chances to deliver a lot of high grade gold with their current core drilling program that they have underway. The last time I spoke with Robert Boyd on one of our interviews, he said that they were about 5 holes into that core drilling. Core drilling is really nice because you can see the mineralization, you can see the geology, and that will help them target the deeper potential. But to find such high grades in the fine gold, sort of at the extent of an orogenic system, is very exciting. And I think they've got a special discovery here, and you want to take a look at Endurance Gold. EDG is their symbol, and have a look at all their news releases and our interviews, and I think you'll like what you see. Next company up is Galantas Gold. Galantas Gold is in Ireland. For those that have followed my reports over the years, I only ever picked one other company in Ireland, and that was called Dalradian. I started following that at about 25 cents, and ultimately they were bought out for several $100 million for their discovery in Ireland. That's not very far from Galantas. And now Galantas has made some impressive discoveries of, again, orogenic gold, that they're high in the system. What makes their project really exciting is that there's a lot of underground working, so they can actually see the geology at depth. And when you can see it with your own eyes, you don't have to poke a hole to see it. It helps with targeting the drilling so that you can find more of that. And they've had a lot of success with their drilling. Meanwhile, the stock is not very far from its 52-week low. And recently they started production on that near surface mineralization. They're going to keep doing that near surface production, and then they're going to keep targeting the underground high grade as well, the deeper high grade. The company only has a $37 million valuation. They only have an 85 million shares out. The business plan is very strong because they're going to use the cash flow from their production to cover the costs of their exploration. So they're not going to have to issue a whole lot of stock to keep the company growing. They can grow based on the mining, and they can grow based on the drilling. And they are, as they get deeper, they're finding higher grades and they're finding more zones. And I think this company can have a tremendous news flow going forward. And yeah, again, here's another one trading near its 52-week lows, $37 million valuation. And actually everything is going in the right direction from a corporate sense. Stocks are, I'm talking about several so far that are getting hammered. When so many get hammered, that's often a great time to be looking at them, because it shows you that the market is pricing on emotions. It's not pricing on reality. Another thing that I look for when I see a lot of selling pressure or the stocks going down is I look at the volume to indicate, well, is it real pressure? How are the shareholders hammering this stock out? And although I'm seeing a lot of stocks with that are trading near their 52-week lows, they're also trading near their 52-week lows on volume. And that is often a good indicator that that stock is ready to turn around. And in the case of when a bunch of stocks do that in a sector, this whole sector is about to turn around. I think that's where we are. I think that's where Galantas is. I love their business model. I love that they're producing silver, they're producing gold, and they're finding a lot of it with the drilling. And I think they're going to find a lot more. And this 37 million valuation is very cheap. Another company that's right in their getting cranked up with their drilling is HighGold Mining. Last year, they made a big discovery of high grade over thick intersections up in Alaska. It got the market all worked up for a while there, got up to about $2 a share. And then they had to wait until the next season, which is now. And they've come all the way down to 68 cents. There again is the, your seasonality sentiment indicator. A lot of Alaska or these northern Canadian projects, they get hammered during the winter and the fall, or this winter and the spring. Then they come to life again in the summer. And that's what HighGold, I believe HighGold is going to do. They've got a very exciting high grade discovery. And when you get that high grade over thick intersections, that's not a small system. That's a big high grade mineralizing system. And I think, well, I know that Darwin Green, that runs the company, is a very experienced and smart explorationist. I think that they're going to find a lot more of that high grade this summer drilling. They also already have a resource on the project that, if you look at sort of the gold distribution and the announcements that they've made of drilling outside of their resource, it looks like that 1 million ounce resource is going to go a lot higher. It's got some interesting aspects to it. It's got a nice high grade, and you could also build a portal into it and get easy access to that high grade material. So those are the kind of things that excite me in the mining business, and I think it will ultimately excite people again this year when they get into drilling. I think that this could be a real seminal year for the company, because now they made a discovery with a few holes last year. Now they can go and target and expand on that with a high probability of predictability of finding more of it. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do. And this $49 million valuation will prove to be a cheap opportunity. And I think investors are smart to take a look at HighGold. HIGH is their symbol on the Venture Exchange. Now, another company that just confounds me is i-80 Gold. This company is trading now at their 52-week low. The company hasn't been trading for much more than a year. The management is the company is run by Ewan Downey. Those that have followed my reports over the years will know the name Ewan Downey, because I've done a lot of interviews with him, and he's had some big successes. Wolfden was one company that he ran that was ultimately bought out. Then before they sold Wolfden, they spun out Premier Gold, and then built Premier Gold into a big winner, and that was bought out. So this is his third kick at the can, and I think that this is going to be as big a success. With i-80 Gold, I think Ewan Downey is going to build a very large gold producing company focused in Nevada. Ewan knows how to find gold, and he knows how to buy assets. And he was able to buy the Granite Creek project at a very reasonable price. Granite Creek is proving to be a very big winner. They had some historical production near surface. They kept following it, and they found sort of what they call their gap zone. As they're going down, they're getting better grades and good continuity. Then they found their South Pacific zone. And now as they go deeper, it's kind of like a wedge, if you will. It's getting wider and wider. And also it's getting higher grade as they're going deeper. Granite Creek on its own is a company maker, but then recently, about a couple months ago, they announced results from their Ruby Deeps drilling at the Ruby Hill project that just blew me away. They're talking 70, 80 meters of high-grade gold. That kind of thing doesn't come around very often. I know, because I've been looking for them since 1993. I've been in this business and exploration since 1993. I rarely see the kind of discoveries that they've made at Ruby Deeps and Granite Creek, and you don't see them all in one company. And then to make it even more of a compelling story, they also bought a processing facility, a mill where they can produce oxide and a refractory ore. And so I've heard some people say, well, how are they going to produce their refractory ore? Well, they have a mill now to produce. They have the capacity to produce that. It's one of only a few mills in the facilities in the country that can do that, and these guys own one of them. I think that i-80 Gold is on its way to being a 200 to 500,000 ounce producer, and they'll be the second largest producer of gold in Nevada. The only ones ahead of them will be the Barrick and the Newmont joint venture, and companies of that size focused in Nevada tend to have valuations in the billions. Currently, this company has a $500 million valuation, and I think it's got 10x potential in it. And with them, a lot of times I talk about potential for exploration success, but there's risk involved in exploration. I mentioned that earlier. In the case of i-80 Gold, I don't see a lot of downside risk that they'll become what they are aiming to be, because they're firing on all cylinders. Their drilling is suggesting they're going in that direction. The business plan is suggesting that they're going in that direction. And the guy running the company has done it before. And I think this is going to be his biggest winner. When it's all said and done, I think i-80 Gold is going to have a valuation of in the multi-billions. 5 to 10 billion wouldn't surprise me. And they currently have a $526 million valuation. So there you go. IAU is their stock symbol. They trade on Toronto, trading at a 52-week low right now. I think this is ridiculously cheap. And I think that this is the kind of core holding that gold investors want to hold on to. I'm seeing them following the same path as Barrick Gold did in their young days when they were still known as American Barrick. They were focused in Nevada. They brought projects into production. They used that to grow into the behemoth that they are today. And I see i-80 Gold following that same path to success. And again, trading at a huge bargain right now. A company that I've never talked about before, I'm going to talk about now, is Lion One Metals. They got a project that they recently hit some massive high grades on. I think that they're on the verge of making a big discovery on their Fiji project. Look at these grades, 20 grams of gold over 75 meters. I don't even need to read the rest of that news release. They had another one, 584 grams of gold. When you have those kind of grades over those thick intersections, 35 grams over 37 meters, 43 grams over 30 meters, 90 grams over 7.2 meters, 138 grams over a third of a meter. And this hole from 450 to 519 hit multiple intersections of high grades of 138, 396, 103 grams, 340 grams, 600 grams, 244 grams, 230 grams, 105 grams. They're sitting on a monster here. And even though they've come up quite dramatically, they were trading around 90 cents before they made this discovery. They're now trading at $1.35 with a $211 million valuation. These guys, I think they have a multi-million ounce high-grade gold discovery. Those are the kind of things that major mining companies have to own. This one is, when you get that kind of gold distribution of high grade over thick intersections, these are not small systems. And so even though it's gone from, let's say, 90 cents to $1.35, if they can keep proving that, which I think that they will with the drilling, that will prove to be a bargain as well. I wanted to talk about it when they first made the results, but they got up to about $1.60 when they made those results known, and now they've come off. And so I thought this period that they've come off would be a good chance to talk about Lion One Metals. I'd sure like to get the company on an interview, but they're hard to get a hold of. I've reached out to them a few times and can't seem to get their attention enough to come on a show and talk to me about this. And but nonetheless, I think they got a heck of a good project, and this is one you want to keep an eye on and buy on any weakness like it has currently, even after announcing those phenomenal high grade intersections. I like that one a lot. I got another company that I have not talked about before. It's a company called 9 Mile Metals. NINE is their symbol. They trade on the Canadian Stock Exchange. Back in May, they were trading at around 8-9 cents a share, currently trading at 29 cents a share. They've made a discovery of extremely high grade copper. Some of them are 18% copper. I mean, just phenomenal grades. I think the only reason that they currently only have a $12.8 million valuation is that maybe the market doesn't think that this can get a lot bigger. I've been doing some homework lately and looking over some reports, and I think they can get a lot bigger than what the market is currently giving them potential of. And let's face it, when you're talking about 10% plus copper, the ore body does not have to be that big in order to have a serious mine. I think another thing that I've even mentioned it, I would love to see them put out cross sections, which they haven't done, plan maps so they show where they're drilling, and geological maps with faulting, so that people can get a handle on where they're drilling, where they're hitting the high grade, and where they are going to go from here. I really wish they'd put that stuff out. It's not rocket science to put cross sections out. They have the staff that can put those out. Sometimes companies don't put those out. I can never understand why. I think these guys are onto something really special here, and that kind of information would help guys like me be able to wave our arms and say, well, look at the geology, look where they drilled, look where they've intersected it, look at the geology over here. This thing could get a lot bigger. But when you don't put that out, people get kind of concerned. And I'm not really concerned, because I think that they've got something exciting here. But in order for guys like me and others out there to be able to get an idea of how big it could be, that's where things get really exciting. So I'm not the only one who's sort of banging the drum for them to put some of that information out there. But in the meantime, $12.8 million valuation, when they're looking at the kinds of grades that they've already reported, it's a pretty cheap valuation. And as I said, when you're looking at those kind of grades, you don't have to have a big ore body in order to have a big mine. And so I like this NINE story, and I think you should take a look at it as well. The next company I'm going to talk about today is P2 Gold. P2 Gold has a project up in the Golden Triangle, and it's got a management group that has had huge success in the Golden Triangle in the past. These were the guys, the two key guys are the ones that helped find and build a mine for Pretium. Pretium was a company that I first started following at about $3 a share, and it was brought out in the last 6 months or so at $19 a share for a multi-billion valuation. And so these guys have done it before, and now they're trying to do it again on their BAM project up in the Golden Triangle that they're drilling as we speak. These guys know what they're doing. I've done interviews with them in the past. You can see the geological potential. You can see that where they've hit the gold distribution, that it's pretty predictable. And you give these kind of guys a high-grade project that's predictable where to drill, and they tend to be the kind of people that deliver some tremendous results that send valuations into the stratosphere. And currently they have a $29.48 million valuation, getting my millions and billions mixed up. Hopefully one day this company turns into another one, just like their Pretium did. P2 Gold, I'm really excited about their current drilling in the BAM project. And I think you do your homework on them and keep an eye on PGLD on the venture exchange. They're drilling right now. They're going to have a lot of news flow in the coming months. I've done a bunch of interviews with them. I hope to do more in the near term when they deliver some excellent results, which I think that they will. And this $29.48 million valuation will prove to be a heck of a bargain. Got two more companies to talk about. Sokomon Minerals. Sokomon is a company that I've followed for a few years, mainly because of their Moosehead project. It's a big it's a high-grade gold system that they're trying to understand. They've done a lot of drilling. They've hit a lot of high-grade gold. I think they have something very special at Moosehead, but they've also got other projects that they're drilling and finding stuff on. They're currently drilling one of those other projects right now, as well as Moosehead. And they also have a lithium project that I'm quite excited about. Collectively, I think that, this company's worth a lot more than $47 million. And again, this is another one trading at a 52-week low on a 52-week low volume. Again, that suggests to me that they are a candidate for a turnaround. And to be a candidate for a turnaround, you need the catalysts. They've got lots of drilling news. They're doing lots of drilling on more than one project, and they're going to have great news flow going forward. I've had a chance to watch this story evolve, and it's the kind of thing that, I think when it really catches lightning in a bottle, which I think that they're going to do at Moosehead and maybe on the lithium project as well, and maybe bring something out of left field on their other projects, Sokomon is going to be worth a lot more than $47 million. They've been worth more than that just in the last year alone. So I think that they're a heck of a bargain. SIC is their symbol. They trade on the venture exchange. Done a lot of interviews with them. You can check them out on my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News. I'm a big fan of the way they do things, and I think that these are the kind of guys, the kind of team that's going to deliver some exceptional stuff. So SIC is their symbol. Take a look at Sokomon Minerals. The final company, and it's not the last being the least or anything like that. As I said earlier, I'm going on alphabetically. And Chali Gold is spelled XALI. So they come in at the bottom of the list, but they're certainly not a bottom project, bottom fisher, or whatever you want to call it. They have a project in Mexico that historically had 8 million ounces of gold production on it. It's an epithermal vein system. It's a network of epithermal veins that, although they've had 8 million ounces of gold production come out of that historically, it's still tremendously underexplored. This only happens in Mexico. If you had a mine that big with a cluster of epithermal veins in Canada or the United States, everything, the whole project would be Swiss cheese by now. And yet that hasn't happened on their project. And not only has it not happened on around the where the production was done, it hasn't been even done at depth and along strike on where that 8 million ounces of gold was produced prior to HighGold getting this project. So I'm a big fan of this project. What they're waiting on right now are the permits so that they can start drilling. The nice thing about Mexico is the cost of drilling is very low. So once they get those permits, I think they're going to crank out the drilling. And, I think that they're going to be able to deliver a lot of high-grade gold. And I'm quite excited about that project. I own some stock. I participated in a private placement, so I own warrants as well. And I'm very excited about their potential. There's not many projects, the old saying, a good place to look for an old mine is where, or a new mine is where there's an old mine. And there's not many places that you can find an 8 million ounce gold producing mine that's still around at the known place they got it from is underexplored, and all around it is underexplored. And that's exactly what Charlie has been able to acquire. And I'm very optimistic that they're going to be able to make a big discovery there. And XGC is their symbol. They only have a $12 million valuation. I think once the drills start turning, that valuation will go up quite dramatically, and even more dramatically when they start announcing assay results from their drilling. So do your homework on that. So there you go, folks. I want to close it on one note, and that is, when things are tough, investors are always, like I said earlier, they're not looking for bargains in their stocks. They like to pay a premium. But when things get beaten down, like gold going like this, you have to look at the indicators that is this about to turn around? And to a fault, almost every one of the companies that I talked about today are trading near their 52-week lows on near their 52-week lows of volume. So that tells you that they're oversold and that the sellers are exhausted and that they're ready to turn around. And when I see multiple companies that are like that in a sector, I know that the sector is oversold and it's ready for a turnaround. And that's why I've been doing these shows lately and banging my desk and trying to get the point across that investors that are serious about owning gold stocks, this is the best time to own them when they're all beaten down, trading on low volume, trading on low prices. That's a good time to look at them. And often when that happens, it's also an indicator of where the price of gold is going to go, because the sentiment that causes that kind of action comes from the price of gold. So if the sentiment is so horrible in the gold stocks, the gold price is what's causing that sentiment to happen. So if you have sentiment indicators like prices are low, volume is low, looks like they're going to turn around, that's also the bullish story for the price of gold, silver, copper, and other things. So as always, my shows are for information purposes. And you got to go do your work now, which is talk to your financial advisors and do your homework. Go check out my interviews that I do with all these executives of these companies I talk about. I think I talked about only 2 out of 15 companies that I talked about have I not done interviews with. The rest, they all have interviews on my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News. On YouTube, and go to their websites, check out their corporate presentations, look over their news releases, And I'll think you'll see that they have very strong stories that are trading at 52-week lows on low volume. On that note, have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.